Welcome into another episode of the Delco Duo. I am one half, arguably the better half, Monica Crine.
Well, if you actually read the graphics, you're technically the other half.
Which is
so
wild.
you keep trying to push you as the sole half, but you're technically the other half.
It's just because of where I'm sitting.
Oh, okay. Right. And I'm Jenna Meisner, also a half of the Delco Duo. No one has to be the other half.
It's just half and half. That's why there's
and that
a
makes
creamer
two.
combo. And we've got a fun show planned today. Lots to talk about. So I'm going to put my mitts on.
Oh,
So that-
explain to the people if they don't know why you're putting those on.
So last week and the week before, I had gotten some complaints, mostly from our director and engineer, telling me that when I hit the table, it makes too much of a noise. So if I wear these, it doesn't make as much of a noise.
So you can continue to hit the table because you're very passionate when
And I'm
you're discussing
Italian.
people's issues without making much of a sound.
I think this will solve all of our problems.
I think it's still making a sound. I can still hear it.
I won't do that then. But it makes less of a sound. And then this
consider
is
it.
really cool too. So I went to a store.
You have so many props right now. What is going on?
But this is really cool. This is a water bottle that I got at a store.
The back of it. Turn it around.
Yeah, so I got this at the store 3 Potato 4 in Media. And I went into the store. I've never been before.
That's so cute.
And they had all of this Delco stuff. Like they had shirts and bags. And then this was a water bottle. And I've been wanting a water bottle. So this is cool. It says
All
Delco.
the landmarks.
All the landmarks. And
Let me see.
I just spent most of my time just staring at the bottle. Go ahead, read them.
Lanark Diner,
Yeah.
Springton Reservoir,
Love it.
Pika's, 69th Street Station. Wow, Charlie's Hamburgers.
I know, I love it. And it's like some of them, I'm like, oh, I love this. And then
Yes, Lynn Villa,
like, the one I didn't
Cadsford
recognize,
Winery. Which one?
Sun Center Studios.
Where's that? Oh, the camera.
Yeah. What is that?
I don't know what that is either.
And why has no one asked me to be on camera there?
If you know more about Sun Center Studios, I'm gonna look at it during the break because I don't know. We should know what that is. That's bad if we don't. If it's on this water bottle, we should know what it is.
Because it
That's
seems,
bad.
I mean, you've got Roland Deli. Love that. Wawa headquarters. Yeah, this is
got a
really
lot
fun.
on there.
But it was different. The shirts were a little bit different. They had different landmarks because the shirt actually had the outline of Delco with like landmarks where they are
Oh,
located.
cool.
Really cool. They had some really fun stuff. So check it out.
It. Delco merch.
And then I leave 3 Potato 4 in Media, and I'm like just getting out onto the main street, and I get a guy honks, and he goes, "Yo, Delco Duo." And I was like, "Oh gosh!" And my mom was like, "Oh my goodness."
You're so famous, Monica.
She goes,
You're so
I can't.
famous.
I didn't know we were getting yelled at on the street. I was like, "You're not. I am." Mom.
And so speaking of being so famous, we actually did an event.
Yes.
So let's take it to the debrief, and we'll tell you about it. Okay, so it's really hard to book us. You have to schedule us out because we are oh so popular. But we
Or just
partook
email. Just
in
email
the
us.
25th annual Girls Night Out. We were asked to do like a little bit at the Girls Night Out, and I believe we have some photos and videos from that night.
So
So
fun.
Springfield Country Club, of course, right in Delco. All the money that was raised, as every year it's raised, benefits women with cancer throughout Delaware County. So we actually did like a live little
Show.
Delco Duo show on stage.
Yes, and so we had interaction from the audience. We asked someone if they had any issue, and someone came up and said, "Where can you find
good man.
Good man in Delco?" And so we just talked, and we had like
It was
girls
so
talk.
fun.
It was so fun, and then we ended it with trivia, like we always do. So we had like a mini show.
And people loved it.
Yeah.
We hope they loved it at least. You loved it if you were there, okay?
Oh.
No, it was fun. So, yes, the Delco Duo. But that event was also very humbling because we were saying some people, they have a fashion show, they have dancers, they have a ton of things that
A
are going
lot going on.
And everyone thought we were either the dancers
Yes.
or we were the fashion show, we were the models.
Yes,
So, no, we are just the Delco Duo.
just us, but a good time was had by all. Let's now get to our first issue.
Yeah, let's
the night.
do that. That's the premise of the show.
Yes.
We'll stop blabbing.
All right, Eric from Eddystone. My daughter has been struggling in her high school socially and mentally. We are thinking of transferring her, but don't know when to do it. Would you suggest mid-year or wait until the end?
That's really tough, Eric.
Yeah. This is one of those situations, too, where I'm just like, real quick, sorry you're dealing with that. That's really scary. I think not just for their daughter, but the whole family. If they're not doing well mentally, now this becomes like scary because, high school and any
It's so hard.
time can really take a toll on your mental health.
But it's also such a risk, I think, to transfer in the middle of a school year.
Yeah.
I know that it's really hard and you want to get your daughter out of the situation, but it could potentially make things worse.
Yeah.
I know it's really hard to be the new kid in school, and especially in the middle of the year when everything is sort of established and friend groups are made. I think waiting it out maybe till a fresh new school year might be best.
Yeah. I mean, mid-year, especially because you want to start in January. That's what they were saying, like mid-year. Sports are in the middle of sports.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a really good way to not only transfer schools, but now you're transferring activities. Hopefully they get involved in activities. I think that would be a really great
That's
way.
how I made all of my friends
Yes.
in high school, was different activities that I did.
And it's not just sports. I mean, we're talking any type of club, but all of those clubs, all of those activities are also starting new and allowing more people in. Otherwise, you start mid-year and there's not many activities you can get involved in. There's not a lot of teams you can make or do. I know it seems so daunting to go a whole other like half
of the
a
year.
year, but there's movies made out of the kid who transferred
Right.
and how hard it is for them.
Yes.
When
Mean Girls. I mean, that
Right.
is like 101.
Yes,
Transfer.
The transfer. I just think it makes them stick out so much
Yes, it
more
does.
when they transfer. So if you transfer at the beginning of the year, everybody's kind of starting fresh and anew.
And maybe a short-term solution. I know a lot of schools are still offering like virtual options because of COVID, and I don't know, maybe taking some classes virtually if she doesn't even want to go into the school. So
Yeah.
that could be an option as well.
I totally, that's a really, really good
Or
idea.
medical leave of absence if it's really, really bad. Those are just things you can do to sort of get you to the next year.
I mean, and obviously this is a conversation you want to have with your daughter. You know, if she's like, I am totally done, I don't mind even being the transfer student, then maybe it's something you need to consider. But if you both are like, when's a good time to do this? I also think it's not a bad idea. If we're talking mentally and socially, we have to see a therapist. I think you got to start seeing a therapist. They have so many resources out there, guidance counselor, therapist. Talk to them about a good time.
Yeah,
to get out of
sometimes
school.
they can really supplement and do more. And I'm sure you're doing a great job, Eric,
Yes.
and your family's doing a great job. But sometimes you just need a little bit more help.
Absolutely, than
All
just the
right.
Delco Duo.
Well, good luck with that. Hopefully the transferring goes well and she loves her new school. Monica, coming up, we have an issue, number 2 of the night, and we're talking about mother-in-laws and birthday presents and
Just the term in-laws.
yeah, that's enough for you. So stay with us and we'll explain some more after the break.
Too bad there's not water in here.
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
Welcome back to the Delco Duo, the show where we take some of your problems and issues and we'll give a little bit of Delco advice.
Anonymously. You never have
Yeah.
to tell us who you are, and we'll never tell the people who you are. So,
Absolutely not. And we are keeping this next person anonymous. So let's get to issue 2.
okay, this one's one that I'm excited to talk about. Wendy from Woodland, my mother-in-law wanted to go to a comedy show for her birthday, but quickly asked us to leave after how raunchy the show got. Yikes.
Oh my gosh. Those comedy shows
A few things, yeah.
can get real raunchy.
Right off the bat, comedy shows are more raunchy than they're not.
Yes.
You kind of have to walk into that expecting it, and I think that the daughter-in-law and her husband were expecting this comedy show to be raunchy, but didn't know how to tell the mother-in-law
Right.
that it's going to get a little bit out of line.
right, we think that this is going to be raunchy, and the mother-in-law's like, I can handle it.
Or the theater they were at, she thought, well, we're at this theater, so it
won't be.
It won't be that raunchy, but that's a gamble that I'm not willing to take with my mother-in-law.
No, I've never seen a comedy show with my parents.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I've never seen a comedy show, period.
Oh, no. I've been to some of the ones like in the city. And And I don't know why. I think nowadays, especially comedy shows, they're so funny. Comedians do such a great job.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more audience interaction, calling out, and things that happen. I actually get a little anxious before going to a comedy show.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what to expect, no matter if it's the comedian I know or not.
There's no boundaries a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so back when I got married, I did like a family bachelorette party aside from the one with my friends.
Right.
And my mom and my sisters and we went to a comedy show, and it wasn't super raunchy. I mean, there was definitely one-liners that were like, oh, wow, I can't believe I'm watching this with my mom. But a whole entire bit or a whole entire show, I could just imagine the son and his mom, that's so uncomfortable for him to have to sit there and not want to maybe be laughing at some of these jokes that otherwise he thinks are funny, but he doesn't want his mom to think that he's laughing, especially if the mom's not laughing, because clearly the mom's not enjoying this.
Right. Oh my gosh. I just feel bad because, it's her birthday. Like, this is what she wanted for her birthday, and all of a sudden
Well,
now
that's the
you're
thing.
leaving.
She wanted it.
She did.
She did want to go. So it's not like they surprised her with these comedy. That's a different story if they surprised her and then they bring her to this, X-rated comedy show.
But the daughter-in-law actually said she was laughing more from how uncomfortable it was.
Yes.
Like, I can't even imagine.
That is entertainment.
Oh, yes.
That's entertainment.
How
Watching your
uncomfortable.
husband squirm
With his mom next to him as they're talking about God knows what. And like what everything you try to avoid talking about with your parents is what a comedian will bring up. I mean, really, especially nowadays, comedians, we were actually talking about this earlier. It's not like every comedian's Jerry Seinfeld.
No.
The only comedian.
There's no wholesome.
No.
There are no wholesome comedians anymore, I don't think. I mean, maybe you can think of one at home and tell us who, but a lot of the times there's some joke that is just.
Even, I was trying to think, Sebastian Maniscalco, he's so good. He's so funny. And I do really think if I was to go to any comedy show with my parents, it would be his. They love him, and I really like. But I still think things would get a little bit like, oh.
I remember growing up when we would take different cruises for a vacation. You know how they have the different shows in the theaters? And comedy nights were always one of them. And I remember being younger and we would go to some of these comedy shows. And
were they family friendly?
They were not always family.
Oh.
Well, they would have a disclaimer. So they'd have some that were later.
Gotcha.
And they would not be kid friendly, but even the ones that were technically kid friendly, and at this point I'm like a teenager, so I'm not like a little kid, but still, kind of old enough to understand, but young enough to not really understand what the joke is.
Yes.
I just remember I would always feel kind of awkward.
But then when we say, but quickly asked to leave after how raunchy the show got. Okay, next fear is getting called out. You will get, if you leave a comedy show, more than likely, that comedian is going to call you out. Where are you going?
Making a joke.
Oh, did I say something that offended you? You didn't like that?
Well,
and then they will just go in on it.
When you're saying you have sort of like this pre-comedy show anxiety.
Yes.
I have a lot of anxiety walking out of a comedy show, and a lot of these rows, I mean, you have to walk past multiple people.
Yes.
It's not like a quick out. So this is 3 people, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, son, walking out a row of people, trying not to get called out by this comedian. This car ride home must have been so quiet.
Like,
what did you talk about when you get back in the car?
I'm just laughing. Like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. And we just walked out of a comedy show.
I don't think you need to make it up to her. I mean, this was her birthday. This is what she wanted to do. I don't think you need to like go to a different dinner or do a different activity. It just didn't work out.
If anything, she needs to make it up to you.
Yeah.
She needs to make it up to you. She really put you through the ringer there. Some things with your parents, love them. They're the best people in the world. But some things are so awkward. Like, like when you're sitting in your family room and a movie, and all of a sudden they're making out, and you're like, I want to crawl under this couch.
Yes. So what would be your suggestion for all future daughter-in-laws out there? If a mother-in-law says she wants to go to a comedy show and you're not on that level with your mother-in-law, what do you suggest instead?
May I suggest a nice pedicure?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Or a movie that's not. I guess, we just said movies can be tough too. So maybe not a movie.
They can.
I don't know.
Yep.
All right. Good luck, Wendy. I'm happy you didn't get called out. Coming up next, favorite part of the show is when we have one of our own issues and we sort of be late to the people.
Yes. Yep. So that's coming up next.
and welcome back. You're watching the Delco Duo on PHL 17. Hopefully you're having a good weekend.
Yes. Not the nicest weekend. Weather-wise, we've been like stuck in this pattern, and I'm not going to get into weather because that's not who I am right now.
Not the morning news.
But I think we all can complain about it.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of relentless. Every weekend's been, So hopefully you're enjoying it, sitting, inside the warmth of your home and
with a nice drink.
Oh.
And that's not your issue, though. The weather's not your issue, but Monica does have an issue this week.
I do.
What's Monica crying about?
So I'm not even going to say I'm crying about this because I don't want people to think give it my time, but it grinds my gears. I feel like recently I've been going on to social media and my For You page is all about fashion don'ts. Don't do this anymore. Don't do this. You look old if you do this. And it's just really annoying. That's just upsetting. Why? There's so many fashion don't, because it makes you look old. It makes you, and it's why, is anyone going to tell me what to wear? Or why does that really?
Well, how many of those videos do you click on to?
But I click on every single one.
Well, and that is why the purpose of a For You page is whatever you're clicking on is going to double in that type of content. So you have to stop clicking on it.
I know, but
there you go. Issue solved.
Issue solved. But I guess then what really comes down to it is I also feel like these fashion things that they're saying are don'ts just came into style.
So give me some examples. What are you seeing that is?
We got the full screen for this.
My goodness.
Came up with a list.
Wow, you are fancy.
Out-of-date styles. Dusters, cold shoulder sweaters.
What's a duster?
That goes it's like a sweater that goes all the way to the floor.
A long cardigan?
Yeah, long cardigan.
Okay, those have been out for a really long time.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. Shackets, they say, are bad.
Okay, so explain what a shacket is if someone doesn't know what that is.
You go.
It's like a shirt jacket.
Shirt jacket.
Okay. Did you blank?
Yes, totally
you just looked at me with so much fear in your eyes. You go.
You tell them.
A shirt jacket.
Shirt jacket. And then it continues.
I love oversized.
I know. The oversized sweater is out. Mm-hmm. They said more form-fitting. Crop tops. That was cool a year ago. I don't understand why it's out now. It just started.
Crop sweaters were really cool for a moment.
Listen to this,
No,
ladies and
I won't.
gentlemen.
I'm ignoring this one.
High-waisted pants.
No.
Ankle boots I get. Ankle boots I get.
I love ankle boots.
No, and I'm not talking the above the ankle.
So you're talking, okay, so if you see the ankle bone.
If you see the ankle bone,
Okay.
but it's a booty kind of thing.
Okay, so I can get behind some of these. The dusters, crop tops, fine, whatever. High-waisted pants, you will not pry them out of my cold, dead hands. I live and breathe by the high-waisted pants. It sucks everything in. It goes with shirts. You tuck shirts in. I love them.
I think my issue also is the high-waisted pants I didn't like in the very beginning. So while everybody was getting into it, I kept thinking my mid-rise is gonna, is fine.
Yes.
And then I finally caved in and I got high-waisted crop top galore. And now it's less than 6 months after I bought all these things.
Is it flare? Is it skinny jean?
That's what I'm saying.
What you don't know what's in.
I don't know. Everything I'm seeing is don't do this, you look old. Don't do this, you look old. And I'm just it's so negative. It's so disheartening.
The cold shoulder sweater I'm a little bit upset about too, because I bought 2 sweaters last year before I had found out that I was pregnant, and they were form-fitting, the shoulder was
They're
out,
so
and I
cute.
never wore it because obviously I was then pregnant and
Yes.
they didn't fit or look right anymore, and I was planning on wearing them this upcoming winter, and you're telling me that I can't do that.
Absolutely. That is it. Between ankle booties and the cold shoulder sweaters, they said no.
I also, a lot of this is the Gen Z on TikTok, and
They're just not nice.
they're not nice.
They're not nice
and
people.
they're so skinny. Every single one of them is so skinny. I'm everyone that I see on TikTok has to be 5 pounds. So that is why the mid-rise, low-rise, whatever rise jeans are working for them.
And I also think what works for them too, when we talk about what's out, and what's not in, it's fast fashion. You know what I mean? This really quick go through of clothes that you can't keep anything in your closet for more than 6 months.
And that's why my solution to you is the rentals. The renting, so the subscriptions, I have all my friends, I think it's a Newly is what it's called. I don't do it.
Right.
But I really should consider it. I'm pretty sure it's like $80 a month and you get clothes for the month, and so you could constantly
Just
be
keep-
ordering
yeah.
them, and you don't have to buy clothes anymore because you're just shipping and shipping back.
That's a really, really good
And they
point.
really have trendy stuff. So you'll be able to know what's
Yeah.
in when you go on, because all the stuff that's in is on the page.
But do you ever notice though, like Gen Z, they have these fashions that you can buy for cheap. You know what I mean? Like when they came on and said, oh, you know, everything's crop top, you could buy a crop top shirt for like $3 for like, you know what I mean? Really cheap.
Have you ever been to Mandy's in Springfield?
No.
It's across the street from Olive Garden. Oh, Monica.
Is that like rainbow?
The clothes are so cheap. I don't know what's going on with our graphics.
That's fine.
It's
That's
okay.
fine.
We're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
That's whatever you
This is
just
not
saw.
coming up.
Ignore
This
it.
is- this
This
is
is real
something.
life right now.
This is something.
Mandy's in Springfield. Anyway, their
All right.
clothes are like $10.
That's what I'm saying. But but I do think that works for the younger Gen Z, kind of without shapes and curves. But for someone like me, doesn't necessarily work.
All right, coming up next, we have our trivia question
read it?
for you. If it comes, we're having a little bit of a tech. Here we go. How long has Arisafa Farm been in the Bates family? So spooky season continues. We're talking about that haunted hayride, Bates Motel, all that good stuff.
We're all about it.
Stay with us. All right, so here's the question. How long has Arisafa Farm been in the Bates family? Did you think about it?
Got to be a long time.
All right, and that answer, 1952. So yes, that's a long time.
Long time.
And I think a lot of people, when they think of Arisafa Farms, they think of Halloween, the hayride, the Bates Motel, the corn maze, or Christmas trees are there, like all the
Yes.
seasonal stuff. But it's a real working farm. It's much more than
It's
just
still-
a holiday attraction.
It still is a real working farm.
It says true working farm that overlooks 80 acres next to Middletown Road, so Route 352. And the cornerstone actually dates back to 1816. But
Wow.
it's been in the Arisafa or the
Family.
Bates family, Arisafa, under that name since 1952. So
Wow.
I think they're in the third generation, maybe. The grandfather, Abraham, that's where Arisafa sort of came from.
You got to think after all those years, there's obviously some haunting.
Well,
Obviously some haunting. That place
aside
is
from
terrifying.
the actors. Hey, I live not far from there, and the traffic
Yes.
this time of year is bananas.
But you know what? I love it. I love that there's so many activities in Delco.
Yeah.
During the, and all throughout, you know, Montgomery County, Bucks County, Philly. There's so much to do this time of the year. I
Right.
love it. Thank you for giving us stuff to do.
All right, so that was your fun trivia fact. Monica, Delco Duo at phl17.com. That is where you can contact us if you have any issues or you just want to talk to us about anything that's on your mind.
Yeah, I mean-
give us ideas for trivia.
You know, comedy shows that got real awkward with your families. We want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I don't know that
Just
I want
got
to hear
us
about that. Okay, thanks so much for joining the Delco Duo Saturday nights on PHL 17. Here to solve all your issues. Hopefully you have a good night.
Have a good night. See you next week.